The celestial law of the universe states that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. This has been the case for a long time, or as long as I can remember anyway. If you need an explanation of what the sun is, then I'm sorry, you're too far gone. But just to humour you, it's that glowing thing behind your curtains. From a narrative standpoint though, the sun can be used to tonally represent a scene. For example, the emerging sun is typically used as a conduit of hope, such as the vanquishing of evil or a character's change of perspective, maybe sparking an excitement for the future. Whereas the disappearing sun is more calm and restful, a time to digest the events of the day, giving the characters and us a chance to reflect and settle our emotions. For a good example of this in action, we can take a look at episode 10 of season 1 of Love Live's School Idol project. In this episode, the idol group Muse head down to the beach for a bonding trip. During their shenanigans together, the group's spiritual leader Nozomi notices something about fellow idol Maki. Specifically, Maki's aloof personality means that she's struggling to bring herself to connect with the rest of Muse. Nozomi confronts Maki with her concerns about her isolation and gives her advice moving forward. The backdrop of the setting sun gives this specific scene an element of emotional tenderness. Nozomi isn't approaching this rather sensitive topic with any aggression. Instead, she's given Maki a calm and safe area to be vulnerable in. Nozomi's message about allowing people to become closer to you does get through to Maki, and she allows herself to have fun with everyone else. The next day, all of Muse wake up early and rush to the beach to watch the sunrise. This shows that they have come closer together as a group and are now seeing the future as a little bit brighter. The sunrise acts as a kind of reward for their work throughout the series and symbolically shows how they are ready to take on the future as a group. So, if the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, where the fuck is this beach? Like, seriously, what beach is this? You can't watch the sun rise and set from exactly the same shore anywhere in the world, yet they manage to. Love Live's world may be fictional, but it's still grounded in reality. There's not just two suns, are there? Where are they? Love Live just wouldn't make up a fake place. Many episodes feature real-life locations that you can go to. The series is mostly set in Akihabara. In one episode they go to Yokohama. You can even visit Honk's house and well, you could go to Nico's house before it was demolished. And sure, Muse's and A-Rise's schools might not be real, but the buildings they're based on are. So it stands to reason that this beach is a real place in Japan that just breaks the laws of reality, and I really want to find out where it is. So the most obvious solution would be just to watch the episode and try to determine where they went through context clues. But that is easier said than done. The episode doesn't really give us any information to pinpoint exactly where they went. All we know is that they start their journey in Tokyo Station and then go to the beach. And the beach itself is rather unremarkable. We can't see any significant landmarks that could give us a hint as to what part of Japan it is in. If I had to hazard a guess, I would think they went somewhere along the coast of the Kanagawa Prefecture, an area that's famed for its beaches and beachside towns. You'd know the place if you'd seen Rascal Doesn't Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, which is set in Kanagawa, prominently in the Fujisawa and the Enoshima area. But it can't be here because all of the beaches in Kanagawa face south, so the sun would rise and set much further inland. So the next best thing would be to try and look for other information outside of episode 10 to piece together the most logical conclusion as to where this beach might be. In season 2, episode 11, Honk drags all of Muse down to the beach in an act of emotional spontaneity, just in time to see the sunset. In this case, we can accurately track where they went, based on the station, the platform, the colour of the train, and this chart, as well as this blog post by Mike Hatsu. Shout out to you, by the way, this was a big help for this video. We know that they were in Yokohama, they took the Tokaido line, travelled down the Kanagawa coast, and got off at Kozu Beach. And wouldn't you know it, the sun is in a somewhat accurate place. Kozu Beach still faces south, so technically it should be a bit further inland, but yeah, whatever. In the sequel series, Love Live Sunshine, Aqua goes to the same beach at the same time, and in the same spot, and the sun is in the same place. This gives us a consistent location of the sunset in the Love Live universe. As for the sunrise, while I couldn't find an episode that prominently featured it outside the aforementioned episode 10, the credits of season 2 show footage of Honk standing on top of those stairs in Akihabara and reaching for the sun. As she is facing east, this would be the sunrise. So with this information, there's only one logical conclusion as to the location of this mysterious beach. In episode 10 of season 1 of Love Live School Idol Project, Muse goes to 2 different beaches. The scene with Nozomi and Maki under the sunset happens in the west of Japan. As we don't see Muse travel from Tokyo, the distance they travelled can be anything to suit my theory. As long as they travelled west, the distance is irrelevant. I call this the Umaneko argument. Then, during the night, Muse travels to the east coast of Japan in time to watch the sunrise. If you're thinking about the time it would take to travel from Tokyo to a beach in the west of Japan and then travel to the eastern side of Japan in a single night, don't worry, I have an answer for that too. The large distance covered in such a short time was due to Muse's innate ability to move at the speed of sound. Did you know they can do that? I'm not making that up. Muse can canonically run exceptionally fast. In Season 2, Episode 11, Muse runs 16 kilometers from Kozu Beach to the Nebukawa station in just a few minutes. So during the night in Episode 10, they just ran from, say, Nagasaki to Hachinohe or something. So there. That's the most logical answer to this conundrum. It can't be that this beach just doesn't exist, it's just 2 different beaches. So, clearly I'm satisfied, right? Well, no, of course not. This is a fucking stupid answer. It doesn't explain which beaches these are supposed to be then. Also, it doesn't address the fact that both of these places are identical and are clearly meant to be the same area. And honestly, this whole sunrise-sunset thing isn't really what's bothering me. The problem I really have with the sun is that ever since this oddity was pointed out to me by some guy I know almost a decade ago, it's all I can see. The cases of the sun just being wrong is extremely prominent in most anime I watch. Every time I see the sun now, I just always think to myself, is it correct? Because it's really not correct most of the time. In Yuri Yuri Season 1, Episode 4, the amusement club and the student council go to the beach and see a sunset. Yuri Yuri is set in Takaoka in Toyama, so it's reasonable to assume they went to a nearby beach, all of which face north, so a sunset would be impossible to see, unless they travelled further west, in which case we'd need to scrutinise the layouts of the beaches along the western coast, and spoiler, none of them have the same mountainous surrounding area. In Kinihira Mosaic, which is set in Chiba, Alice and friends take the Soboto line down to Onjuku Station and walk to Onjuku Beach. While the sun is in the right area, it should be much further inland during the sunset. In Setokai Yakuni Domo Season 1 Episode 7, the student council goes to the beach and we know exactly where. At the end of the episode, the camera is flung up towards the sky, and despite the clouds obscuring our vision, we can still see the location, Usugu Beach in the Shizuoka Prefecture. While watching the sunset is possible as the beach faces west, the sunrise they see at the end of the episode wouldn't be possible to see. In Zombieland Saga Revenge, Episode 3, Junko is sitting on the roof of the mansion looking towards the sea, which means she would be facing north, so no, sorry, you're not looking at the sunset. In Rent-A-Girlfriend Season 1, Episode 4, this clown jumps off a ferry for a girl, and despite the boat heading south, we can see it's going towards the sunset. In Fruit Basket's 2019 Episode 8, if fan speculation is correct and this series is set in the Den-Ichofu area, then that would make this the Makuro Bridge and this area over here Kawasaki, which means that they would be facing west and not able to see the sunrise. In Canon 2006 Episode 7, just before this clown drops a cat off a bridge in Morogushishi, we can see the sunset coming in. As this shot faces south, the sun wouldn't be visible from this angle. In Glass Slip Episode 5, this place is supposed to be the Fukui Prefecture, and yes, you can see the sunset from this location, but not from this angle. This is only a small example of what I noticed. But if anything, I guess it demonstrates my pedantic nature. The beach and the sun are so synonymous that the thought of sunrises and sunsets not happening in the same place never really clicked into my brain as I grew up. You can call it a developmental issue, but in my defense, it's not really an issue. And even if I knew that, how would it have developed me? So, to you, person who has made it this far, I feel the need to apologize. I don't have a satisfying conclusion nor a well-rounded perspective for this topic. Instead, I hope that I've given you a new voice in your already noisy head. One that asks you, every time you see the sun, if it's in the right place, doing what it's supposed to do. Because 9 times out of 10, I bet it's not.